All right, so David, you've been doing this a long time. You must have some crazy stories. What is the craziest real estate story you have?
So the craziest real estate story that I have is we had one of our rehabbers was doing a project, rehabbing a single family home up north, not a crazy price mark, about $450,000. We came in to do the final walkthrough, and cold winter day. If you guys are familiar with Chicago, you know it gets pretty cold in some of these older homes. So I went into the home and here's some water running, and I'm thinking, oh shit, maybe one of the guys left the faucet running, only to go downstairs and there is water shooting out of this pipe, like literally coming at you at like
classic
30, 40, 50 miles an hour. And once we got to the bottom of the step, we realized the water is up to our ankle, and this was our final walkthrough.
Oh my God.
Fortunately enough, the seller was quick to respond to getting it fixed, and the buyer was extremely chill. As long as it got fixed, we had documentation that we had done it properly. She was willing to move forward.
That is wild.
Yeah.
From both the seller and buyer standpoint. That's crazy.
I know, it was crazy.
All right, David, you do a ton of new construction, development, etc. If you were the buyer, get into their shoes. What are the 1, 2, or 3 tips you would give those buyers when buying new construction?
So I run into this a lot, especially with a couple of my developers, right? I think a lot of people focus so much on like reputation and what their past experience has been, right? Every project's different. Every buyer has different demands. Every buyer has different expectations. The agent you're working with, right? That determines how the deal is gonna transact,
No
right?
doubt.
How it's gonna move along. Push aside all of that other stuff, right? Reputation, past projects, all of that. If the builder's building in this market, he's been building for a while. He's gotten through most likely the crash in '08. He's he's navigating the storm that we're currently in right now. So I wouldn't put too much emphasis on that. What I would focus on is how you feel about the space, right? Because at the end of the day, a lot of times you can overlook small things. Maybe you don't like cabinets or tile or light fixtures, right? I think first and foremost, it's most importantly how you feel about the space.
Because you might be able to change some of the other stuff.
Exactly. How you feel about the space, I think, is most
Number
important.
one.
In addition to that, making sure that you feel comfortable with the other agent who works for the developer, right? Like if you have a good rapport with that agent, the list side, at the end of the day, they're the ones who are gonna make sure it gets done,
Yeah,
right?
You're not gonna have nearly any interaction with the developer themselves.
Absolutely zero, right? And then finally, I'd say the most important thing is working with an agent, your agent specifically, who has experience working with new development. Because at the end of the day, you're not buying a finished product. You don't necessarily know what you're gonna get exactly. You have some idea based off of floor plans, past projects, but making sure that that agent gives you realistic expectations and manage those expectations for you, right? Because new construction, as great and nice as it sounds, things do go wrong and people aren't always 100% happy, but at the end of the day, if you have an agent, a great agent who knows what they're doing, you have a good list agent, they're gonna make sure that you're happy at the end of the day.
Given the current economic environment, interest rates being high, builders aren't building quite as much as they used to, given inflation, etc. What are you seeing in the new construction arena right now?
Properties are definitely sitting on the market a lot longer. In the past, you could sell new construction off of floor plans and a few finishes. These days, buyers need to feel it. They need to see it. They want to physically walk through a finished product. I think that's what we're seeing more so than ever, is that we're not selling things pre-construction anymore.
What are you hearing from your developers in this current market? What is their appetite like? Are they scared? What are they saying?
They're definitely still looking, right? I think if they're a good developer, right, if they know what they're doing, they're always going to be looking. People are still buying. So I think they're a little bit more picky with what they invest in or what projects they take on. They're not going to be taking on projects in not riskier neighborhoods, but they want A+ locations. Lincoln Park, Lakeview, Bucktown. So they're picking A+ location, but more importantly, they want to make sure they have a cushion, right? They want to make sure that if they're buying a piece of land for this amount, they know what their building costs are going to be. They want to make sure that there's enough meat on the bones so that if we do have to drop prices, because most developers, they factor in, they're going to make X amount on a project. But, if they've got to drop it $100,000, $250,000, they want to make sure that that's not going to make or break it for them.